What's going on, guys? This is Miasin. So I'm still at YCS Richmond for the YCS, even though I didn't go there on day 2, and yesterday I gave up on the event after like round 4. I don't know, I just needed to catch some sleep. But yeah, anyways, today I wanted to make a video on some kind of complicated rulings that I think a lot of you guys might be struggling with, including, you know, even the pro players, because honestly, some of them are just extremely complicated, and even the judges sometimes, they would be giving you incorrect rulings on some of these. So yeah, today I'll try to hook you up with the most appropriate answers for these rulings, but of course you already know the drill. Before this video starts, make sure you like and subscribe, and now let's get right into it. Alright, so SP Little Knight is the first card that I wanted to cover. This card is very complicated because even though the card looks very simple to resolve, there are a lot of things about it that just kind of make no sense actually. So first of all, the first effect allows you to banish a card on the field or in either graveyard whenever it is summoned by using a Fusion, Synchro Xyz, or Link monster as a material. This part is obviously, you know, straightforward, but it also reads also monsters you control, also your monsters cannot attack directly this turn. The wording of this turn is just extremely awkward because it shouldn't be worded like that. It should actually be worded for the rest of this turn. It is irrelevant that it says this turn because it doesn't actually factor in what happened before. You could go into battle phase, attack directly, and then main phase 2, go SP Little Knight and still banish a card. The clause of your monsters cannot attack directly this turn is actually a part of the effect. It's not like a condition or something, so it doesn't matter actually that your monsters can't attack directly this turn. And also, from the OCG, I actually made some research, and apparently the way it's worded actually reads for the rest of this turn. Maybe they actually changed it, or maybe that was an incorrect translation, but either way, this is how the card functions, and I know that some people have already obtained some incorrect rulings on SP Little Knight, because again, it can go both way, and I completely understand. This card is just very poorly written, and it's really up to like interpretation of the rulings and stuff, but yeah, it's just very confusing for no reason. And it's funny because it actually has even more weird rulings. So for example, because of the fact that you have to banish very specifically 2 monsters in order to make it resolve, what happens when you banish a monster like a Flanderies monster? Will your SP Little Knight come back? Well, the Flanderies monsters are very interesting because when they leave the field, they get banished by their own effect, not by whatever tried to banish them. So in other words, SP Little Knight is just really weird because you would think that you would not be able to get it back, but you actually still do get it back. Tries to resolve as much as possible, and at least it resolved for the first part, so it still comes back on the end phase, and the Flanderies monster does not come back because it was banished by its own effect of, you know, the condition of it always gets banished instead of, you know, whatever else when it leaves the field. Just like when it gets banished by evenly, it doesn't get banished face down, it gets banished face up. So yeah, do remember that with SP Little Knight. And something else that is very common again to Farfa and SP Little Knight is monster memory. So what happens when a monster, you know for a fact that it's link summoned, like for example Dark the Dark Charmer, what happens if you Farfa it and then it comes back? So again, common to Farfa and SP Little Knight, they have the same effect. Banish until the end phase and then they return back, they're not special summon back. Therefore, the Dark Charmer, will you be able to get its effect when you crash it or when it dies by your opponent's card effect in order to search your deck for a dark monster with 1500 or less defense? And the answer is yes, because monsters do remember the way they were summoned actually when they just leave the field and come back. Now, very similarly to Masterpiece actually, it does remember that it was tribute summoned. The only thing, if I recall correctly, is it forgets the fact that it was summoned with a monster or a spell or a trap card, but it's still a tribute summon card. And the same thing applies to Dark the Dark Charmer. It still remembers that it was link summoned. It's just like if there are other factors to take into consideration, then maybe it would forget that. It doesn't remember all the details, just like pretty much vaguely how it was summoned in a way. Alright, so now a very weird rulings would, well, not really weird, but I mean, it makes a lot of sense actually, and I understand it, but a lot of people might not really be aware of that. Obviously, the Tearlaments Reinoheart combo with Tearlaments Kashtira is a pretty popular one, right? If you only have one card in your hand and it's Tearlaments Kashtira, and then you foolish the Reinoheart or it's mailed or something, you can go Reinoheart effect, and then you chain the Tearlaments Kashtira, and then you special summon the Tearlaments Kashtira, and then the Reinoheart comes back and you don't have to discard anything from your hand. Now, the reason for that is because sending a Tearlaments card from your hand to the graveyard is effect B of A, which is to revive itself back, and it's not a cost, it's not an activation requirement or anything like that. It just happens on resolution. The card, again, still tries to resolve as much as possible, so even when it checks that on resolution you don't have anything to discard, it doesn't matter, it still tries to special summon itself back. Now, Tearlaments Shirin and Tearlaments Kashtira have a pretty similar interaction with each other. If you have Shirin in your hand and Tearlaments Kashtira and no other monsters, what you can do is activate the effect of Shirin and then chain the Tearlaments Kashtira, and then you'll be special summoning the Tearlaments Kashtira as well as Shirin after that on Chain Link 1. The only difference is that, again, you're not discarding a monster, so you're not milling 3 with a Shirin, but you are still milling 3 with the Tearlaments Kashtira on a separate Chain Link. That, of course, is, inherent to the card. But yeah, this is a very weird interaction that might come up every now and then. A lot of good Tearlaments players are just completely unaware of that. They just know and memorize interactions, but they don't really understand, too, like, the complicated intricacies. So they don't know that, they know that Rhino Heart and Tearlaments Kashtira work with each other, but not these two, for example. Now, next up is a very, basic ruling, but, it's just, I can understand how people could be tricked up with that one. Purely Happy Memory is a weird card. You have to choose a card on the field to apply its effect, but choose and target is not the same thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! So even if a card is untargetable, you can still select it with Purely Happy Memory. So you can actually bypass a lot with this card. It's actually very interesting. Anyways, another thing, actually, this is pretty weird, but it also makes sense with Purrely and Noir, for example. Let's just say that you got hit by a Dark Ruler, and it has less than 5 materials, so now it actually does get negated. One thing that you can do is use the effect of your Purrely Noir as many times as you want, even though it's negated, and then you Book of Moon yourself, and then when it goes to face down, it forgets that it was negated, and then the spins of Purrely Noir will actually resolve, and you will be able to put back monsters on your opponent's field or graveyard on the bottom of the deck. Or top of the deck, I forgot, but it doesn't matter. Yeah, bottom of the deck. So yeah, that is actually a very cute little ruling that you could use to your advantage, because I know that a lot of people were playing Book of Moon and Book of Eclipse in their Purely deck. So if you can actually use your Purrely Noir at this maximum potential when you're getting hit by negation cards, could be Dark Ruler, could be Imperm, doesn't matter, you should be in a pretty good position. Now, lastly, I wanted to cover a ruling that actually, it's funny because it did in a way come up like very recently for me. But these cards are not the same, so let's just say that, this card has a very similar interaction with Rinbrum. I'm gonna cover that later on, but let's just say that you have a Baron de Fleur on the field, and then you negate something on your own turn, and then your opponent negates it with, let's say, Infinite Impermanence, which negates the effect of the monster. Your Baron de Fleur is now negated. Are you allowed to use its negation effect again next turn, since it was negated the first time? Because it reads once while face up on the field. When a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can negate that activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So will you be able to negate with Baron again, since it was negated the first time? And a lot of people are comparing Baron de Fleur with Mirror Jade. Again, like I said, I use the example of Mirror Jade's interaction with Rinbrum, which is this card right here. I'll try to bring it up. Everybody was playing this combo in the Branded Chimera deck. Well, not really, actually, in Despia, rather. But even then, it came up like every now and then. So, yeah, this is not the same. So, the once per turn that Mirror Jade has, the ability, the clause of preventing you from using the effect again next turn is actually a part of the effect, and not like a restriction that applies like on activation or something. So it actually, this works on resolution. So the effect of Mirror Jade is negated, you will be able to use it again. That is the reason why when you use Mirror Jade effect to send for cost, you can negate yourself with Rinbrum, and then the Mirror Jade, it's like it never used its effect to begin with. So it doesn't resolve until the very end, because Rinbrum will negate it to full effect. It doesn't negate the activation, it negates the effect, but it doesn't matter. So it still negates the part that prevents the Mirror Jade from using its effect again. Whereas Baron de Fleur, again, like I said, it's not the same. You will not be able to use the negation effect of Baron de Fleur again next turn, because it's a once while face up on the field when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can do that. Whereas Mirror Jade, the once while, you can't do it after, is a part of the effect. So yeah, don't get cheated on, should be not too difficult, but again, some of these rulings, I understand how they can be really complicated, and you need to know how to, have access to the right resources at your disposal. But anyways, that's it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.